How's it going, guys? I'm the Stock Retro Gamer, and welcome to another Which Did It First. I want to get a bit sporty with this one. Football, anyone? Football, the beautiful game. Football is one of the earliest sports to come in video game form, and it's really come a long way. The games give us a chance to play as our favourite teams and achieve what they never could in real life. Over the years, the games have become very impressive with their realism, their depth, and their visuals. I want to know which were the first football games to pioneer the standards that we know today. So join me, the Stock Retro Gamer, as I look at football games, and which did it first? Now, the very first football game may be up for debate, so I'm going to briefly talk about 3 games and let you decide which you believe to be the first. Released in 1973 on the Magnavox Odyssey, soccer is a football game and the very first video game to represent the sport. The Magnavox Odyssey, as well as being the first ever video game console, had a very unique method, as it would use plastic overlays to place over the screen for each game. These would be used to simulate game graphics, very much a pong clone with its graphics, as most games were at the time. Soccer was only released on a European version of the Magnavox, given the sport's popularity there. Also released in 1973 and developed by Ramtech. Soccer is an arcade game that again was very much a pong clone. No need for a plastic overlay for this, as everything you needed was on the screen. I wasn't actually able to source any footage for this one, but you can imagine. As you can see, very bare bones with its display, giving you just 2 players, and a square representing the ball. Released in 1980 and developed by Mattel, NASR Soccer is a football game released on the Intellivision that has you playing as teams from the North American Soccer League. The game was the first football game to use the sideways viewpoint. It also included corner kicks, throw-ins, goal kicks, had crowd interaction and whistleblowing. NASR Soccer very much felt like the first proper football game, even if it wasn't first. The players resembled human figures instead of generic square shapes, and the sideways view really made it feel like you were playing football. In early football games, your choice of team would be limited. Usually you'd get to be just one team, referred to as Player 1, or if you were lucky, you'd be able to change kit colours. Now your choice of team is limitless, being able to play as any team of your choosing from any league in the world. Released in 1983 and developed by Alpha Denchi, Exciting Soccer is a football game released on arcade. It featured a top-down perspective and many gameplay features that were novel for the time. You could slide tackle, short pass, long pass, take corner kicks, and even penalty shootouts. It also featured an on-field referee. Exciting Soccer was the first football game that gave you a choice of team to play as. These were Italy, Great Britain, West Germany, Austria, Brazil, and France. Not the most diverse choice I know, but I guess space limitations came into play, so they went for the most relevant of teams. Italy being world champs at the time, and Brazil just being a powerhouse in football. Instead of England, they had Great Britain, which I guess would incorporate Scotland and Wales too, although not too sure how they would feel about being lumped into one team. It spawned a sequel in 1984 where they replaced Austria with the Team Japan. I guess since it was a Japanese game, they wanted some representation in there, which is fair enough. Exciting Soccer was a fun, vibrant, if not a bit noisy football game, and was the first to let you choose your football team. Putting some curl on a shot can be both crucial and rewarding in football games. Curling mechanics have added a new layer of depth and strategy, making it more challenging and rewarding for players, and it looks damn cool. Released in 1985 and developed by Tekken, Tekken World Cup is an arcade football game where you would simply play as the red team, taking on teams of all different colour strips controlled by the computer or a second player. It had a bird's eye view of the action and would let you do moves like volleys and slide tackles. Tekken World Cup was the first football game where you could put some curl on your shots. This was achieved using the trackball device, a literal ball the player would continuously spin to move their players, and add curve and velocity to shots once kicked. Now players could score 30-yard screamers by curling the ball into the back of the net, giving the keeper no chance. The trackball device, as innovative as it was, looked like a bit of a ball ache to me. Pun intended. Who wants to have to continuously spin a plastic ball to play a video game? Oh, you do. Despite this, the game was a hit when released. Its novelty controls and top-down perspective made it a landmark in football games. Commentary during a football match offers a more authentic atmosphere that resembles watching an actual live game.
Bad defending there. Dino! Oh dear, it's not his day.
It bridges that gap between playing the game and watching a televised match.
And handed the task of playing up front is Erling Haaland.
Released in 1995 and developed by EA Sports, FIFA 96 is a football game released on MS-DOS and several consoles. It offered you the chance to play as several club teams from 11 different world nations, coming to more than 230 teams. FIFA 96 was the first football game to feature in-depth in-game commentary, provided by legendary commentator John Motson.
Much away at the back, so this should be a close game.
As well as using all 3,000 of the players' names in the game, Motti would come out with relevant football phrases and dynamic responses, which would trick you into thinking this was a real match.
Interception by Maldini, blocked by Dunga. Good work in the air by Costa Curta. And he shoots! Saved by Taparel.
FIFA 96 was the first in the series to feature real-time 3D graphics and real player names and positions. Seems like standard now, but this came out in a time when football games weren't quite there with actual player names, so it was quite the novelty to know who you'd scored with. It was also the first FIFA where you could customise your team and do player transfers. With its dynamic commentary and use of 3D graphics, FIFA 96 became the template for future FIFA games.
And here's the man of the match.
By capturing the movements of real-life footballers, game devs created more realistic and fluid animations in football games, making the gameplay feel more authentic. Motion capture has allowed for more detailed player models and improved ball physics, giving a more immersive experience.
Yes, he's having the time of his life out there today. The hat-trick coming in good style and he looks hungry for more, doesn't he?
Released in 1995 and developed by Gremlin Interactive, Actual Soccer is a football game released on MS-DOS and consoles, where you could choose from 32 national teams to play as in league play and tournaments. The term actual was a play on the virtual game series, implying their series of games would be like actually playing rather than virtually.
Well, I get it. It's very clever.
Actual Soccer used motion capture for its player animation and was the first football game to do this. This gave the players a real lifelike quality in their movements on the pitch.
Just that long ball. Beckenberg. Have to do better than that to be.
Gremlin used local team Sheffield Wednesday players Andy Sinton, Chris Woods and Graham Hyde as motion capture models. Now you could play a football game that had the realism like that of a televised match. Well, sort of. Actual Soccer PlayStation version was also the first football game on console to use 3D graphics. It also featured in-depth commentary from Barry Davies. The mid-90s really was the time when football games took a shift in direction. Actual Soccer had sold 1 million copies by 1997 on MS-DOS and PlayStation. Its motion capture and 3D graphics make it a pioneering football title worthy of this list.
Christensen!
The mid-90s saw the rise of 3D video games, and of course football games were quick to take advantage of
He
this.
shoots! Good save by Paliuka.
3D graphics really gave football games the dimensional realism they deserved. Released in 1994 and developed by Sega, Virtua Striker is a football game released on the Sega AM2 arcade. This was the arcade where they released all the Virtua series, such as the Virtual Fighter and Virtual Racing games. You could choose up to 18 international teams and play in a knockout tournament, similar to that of the World Cup. Virtua Striker was the first football game to use 3D graphics, giving the look and gameplay a level of realism never seen before in a football game. As well as 3D graphics, they gave some of the more famous players in the teams recognisable faces, like Peter Schmeichel for Denmark and Roberto Baggio for Italy, which was pioneering for the time. I like the goal celebrations they would come out with, although a bit confused by this human centipede one. Now, there were a few games that attempted 3D before Virtua Striker, but as you can see, fell short of the mark. What is it about these graphics in these virtual games that I love? So sharp and vibrant. Virtua Striker spawned 3 sequels, and as well as being the first ever 3D football game, was one of the first examples of a 3D sports video game, and it makes the list. Today's football games offer both playing and management aspects of the sport. They'll usually lean towards either one or the other, but you can guarantee you'll be able to score some goals and shout at your team during halftime should you wish. Released in 1990 and developed by Anko Software, Player Manager is a football game released on the Amiga 500 and the Atari ST. The game has you taking control of a 3rd Division football club, acting as a player and also manager of said club. Player Manager was the first football game that let you both play football and manage your team, giving the player the best of both worlds. Football management games had existed for a number of years, but only offered automated matches that you couldn't take part in. Also, previous football games had featured some controller things like squad picks and team formations, but never anything on this level. Player Manager let you manage the team, buy and sell players, negotiate for player contracts, manage the club finances, and interact with the board. All the exciting stuff. It was by far the most in-depth football management game for its day. The football matches themselves were fast-paced from a top-down perspective and played similar to the Kickoff series, given they were both developed by Anko. Player Manager was a hit with gamers and critics when released. Its innovative approach to football games was groundbreaking and a template for eventually how all football games would turn out. So that was football games, which did it first, guys? If you enjoyed the video, then go ahead and click that like and subscribe button for more retro content. I've covered a few more genres in this Which Did It First series, so feel free to take a look. Was thinking about doing racing games next. Or maybe run and guns. Let me know in the comments if you have a preference or another idea for me to look at. Until then, I'm the Stock Retro Gamer, and I'll catch you in the next one.